Welcome to this edition of Transformation Thursday. We are grateful and thankful again that you have thought it good to join us for another edition of Transformation Thursday. As always, I want to welcome Dr. Chappelle to our conversation. Christopher, a week has passed now since a little over a week since the election. It was interesting that after the election unfolded and days passed, like always, we began to hear the finger pointing. The Democrats were suggesting that it's somebody else's fault. They lost because it's someone else's fault. And this is nothing new. When we think about finger pointing, as we go back to the Garden of Eden, after Adam and Eve disobeyed God's instruction, and God confronted him, Adam would blame Eve, and Eve would blame the devil. What I've come to realize is that many of us are the same way. It's always someone else's fault. And we're always pointing the finger. No one wants to accept accountability. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, Nathan the prophet goes to confront David after David has committed adultery with Bathsheba and caused the death of Uriah. And Nathan comes to David and he shares a story with David. Tells David, he says, a rich man and a poor man. Both of them, the rich man has all types of cattle and lamb and so on and so forth. The poor man has just one little small lamb, one little small ewe, and the poor man loved his ewe so much so that this particular animal ate from the poor man's table. Nathan would go on to say that in his story, he would go on to say that one day a visitor would come to the rich man's house. And the rich man wanted to treat him to a feast. And so instead of grabbing a lamb or a ewe from his own flock, he took the lamb, the ewe from the poor man, slaughtered it and served it to his guests. Nathan would go on as he shared this story. David would come in and say, in essence, whoever this man is, I'm going to kill him. And Nathan responds by saying, it's you. It's you. Just recently in a podcast, I was listening to Bishop Jamal Bryant, and he would say in the podcast, he said, I could have been further along in my goals and in my destiny, but I'm not. I could have acquired some additional things, but I didn't. I could have been in this position, in that position, but I'm not. He said it's not because of anyone else. It's not even because of the enemy. It's because of me. And as I thought about that, I thought about the fact that many of us are not where we are supposed to be. Not because of anyone else. Not because of the enemy. But because of us. I'm the problem. It's me. I'm the problem that I'm not further along, and I'm the problem that the business hadn't been open and started yet. I'm the problem that my finances are not where I want them to be. I'm the problem that I hadn't moved up the proverbial ladder as I had hoped I would have been. I'm the problem that the relationship didn't work. It's me. It's me. And so the question becomes, how do I keep from sabotaging my future? That's the question for us to ponder and discuss on this edition. How do I not, or how do I keep from sabotaging my own future?
I think the answer is rather simple, yet more difficult to execute. As you were introducing this idea for today, I thought back to one of the books that I've read and often attempt to apply. And it was probably one of my book of the year when I read it. It's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko. And as I thought about Adam in the garden, and everybody want to point blame, right? It's the woman, it's this, it's that, it's the enemy. But notice, even in that, God said, I gave you the responsibility.
Right.
And that's simply letting us know that we have the responsibility and we have to take ownership of that which is given.
Mm-hmm.
The gift, the talent, the access, whatever it may be, if God has allowed us and has gifted us, then it's our responsibility to make sure that we exercise that gift, exercise that talent. Because remember, he said that your gift will make room for it.
Right. That's it.
But if you don't use it, then that same gift becomes a burden, and that room will ultimately stray to feel like it's a prison that encloses you, right? But it's only when we take ownership of the opportunity, the gift, the responsibility, when things flourish. So that's the easy part in theory is taking ownership. Now the hard part is executing on this every single day and being responsible every single day. Because whether it's in relationship and you have to carry that load and burden and say, okay, where are the points that I can improve? If it's in business, okay, this marketing plan wasn't working. Where can I improve? What's the feedback? But sometimes in getting feedback, and sometimes like you just get exhausted from all of that which is required of you to make it work. So it's easy to say is this reason. It's easy to say is that person. It's easy to say is the resources. It's easy to point at everybody else. But one thing that I like that Jocko says, anything that happened, his response is good. because we have to learn from it. We have to create new evolutions around that thing so that it can work. So when you have tough times, good. When you have times that flourish, good. Take responsibility in all of the actions. And in high times, look, we're thankful that it's working. But when it's low times and things are challenging, we have to dig even deeper, because it's our responsibility and it's our duty to live out the very best that God has given us.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we have to take ownership and we have to push forward regardless to feelings, regardless to the pain, regardless to the pressure, regardless to the opposition, whatever it is, we still are required to push forward and win.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You know, in Peter, in First Peter, Peter says that God has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. That's one of my favorite texts. He says he has given you everything you need to live life and to live a godly life. He said, I'm giving you everything you need. But then when I go back and I grab hold to what Jesus said, Jesus says, if you are faithful, if you are faithful. And Jesus made it a little bit simpler for us in that he says, if you are faithful in a few things, then I'll make you ruler over much. And so this is about, one, God has already given us everything we need. But the question becomes us taking full responsibility and being faithful enough, obedient enough to move in what he has for us. If you are faithful.
And that's the key, right? Many people believe that blessings don't come with conditions. The condition is if you keep my word. The condition. There's the condition.
That's it.
But too many of us, just like the outcome, we like the upside, but we don't want to.
There you go.
Deal with the requirement.
That's it.
The requirement is to love. The requirement is long suffering. The requirement is patience. The requirements aren't always fun.
That's it.
But it's still necessary.
Ah, goodness. That's it. That's it right there. And when I don't fulfill those requirements, I'm frustrated and I'm blaming everyone else and I'm blaming God because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. He gave you the blueprint for success. Gave it to you. The blueprint is there. In fact, he even said it in Joshua. He said, look, don't let this word, these instructions, don't let this not come from you. In other words, he says, meditate on my instructions and my word and what I'm telling you day in and day out. And then he says, then guess what? You'll have great success. And so there is a requirement. As you pointed out, there is a requirement, but we want stuff easy. We don't want to keep pressing through. We don't want to follow the instructions, but we simply want to point a finger. And in doing so, we sabotage our own future because we fail to be accountable We fail to follow the instructions. We fail to be faithful. And so I'm not where I want to be because of me. But in that, God is so loving and he's so kind that he says, I'll still make it work for your good. And that's what we can be thankful for. We can be thankful that he'll still make it work for me and still reset me and reposition me for what he has for me. And so on this Transformation Thursday, I want you to affirm with me that I will not sabotage my future, but I will be faithful. I will be obedient to what God is instructing me to do. Thanks be to God that he still works it out for our good. See you next week on Transformation Thursday.